We are now streaming to YouTube. Committee of Adjustment will begin at 2.
They're not on up there.
Oh, is it?
Go to the ground floor.
Yeah.
Thank you. Zoom is on. Okay, thank you. Okay.
I'm going to call the meeting to order at 2 p.m. Hi, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Committee of Adjustments meeting. I'm Melinda McGregor, the chair or the acting chair of the committee today. To my left, we have Wayne Greco, and to my right, we have Anthony Rossi and Frank Bruni. And we have Michelle Kelly, our secretary treasurer, and Steve, our planning representative.
Madam Chair, if we could just I'll do the land acknowledgement. I acknowledge with respect that we're in Robinson Huron Treaty Territory, that the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and known as Bawating. Bawating is the home of Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, and the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis Council. Madam Chair, could I have a motion for the minutes of the November 27th meeting?
Okay, a motion from Wayne,
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
second by Anthony, and all in favor?
Thank you. I've had no one come to me with disclosure of pecuniary interest. Is there any that wish to declare today? None. Madam Chair, I need to advise that we've had two applications that have been withdrawn. One is application A1524. It was Civic number 540 Albert Street East. If you'll recall, that was for parking consideration. That application has been withdrawn. There is no need for the consideration any longer. We also had application A3924. It didn't make it to the committee's agenda, 81 Allworth Place, but it was circulated. And that application as well has been withdrawn to have new measurements undertaken. And a new application will come before the committee. It's possible it'll come before the committee in the spring. So today, if we could move along to the first application on our agenda, and that would be application A4324, 267 Huron Street. And there's no representative here. The subject property is owned by the Sault Ste. Marie Housing Corporation. It's Civic 267 Huron Street. It's a 2024 application, but is reappearing or back on the committee's agenda. It was during the postal strike, and notices, it couldn't be determined whether notices were received. The applicant sign wasn't posted as should be, so we pulled the application and we're hearing it today. Relief is requested from the provisions of bylaw 2005-150 as amended by reducing a portion of the required exterior side yard abutting Edinburgh Street and permit 2 parking spaces to encroach into the exterior side yard. The intent of the application is to facilitate the construction of a 4-unit, 2-story residential structure. Specifically, section 9.7.2 of zoning bylaw 2005-150 requires a minimum exterior side yard of 4.5 meters. The applicant seeking to reduce the minimum exterior side yard requirement to 3 meters for the proposed structure and to 2 meters for 2 parking spaces. Notice of public hearing was sent by personal mail to neighboring properties by posting a sign on site and posting on the city website. As part of the application review, this proposal was circulated to the following internal departments and external agencies for their review. Building Division did not respond. Conservation Authority advised that they will review a site plan for possible permit prior to future development. Engineering and Construction advised that they were supportive of the application, however, suggested that the applicant consider reducing the size of the porch to improve the setback from the edge of the road. Fire Services had no comment. Legal Department had no comment. Planning Division advised that they have no objection to the application. The property is irregular in shape like others that are adjacent to Edinburgh Street. This makes full compliance with the setback requirements challenging. The proposal is consistent with the character of the area and will have little to no impact on surrounding properties. This property falls within the first neighborhood strategic development area. The city's official plan supports additional residential growth and development in strategic development areas through various means, including reduced development standards, Planning staff is of the opinion that the requested variances are minor, are desirable for appropriate use of the property, and maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. My comments are the request has staff support. The applicant is aware that PUC requires applications for electrical and water services. Public Works supports the application, but also support engineering's comments in asking that the applicant consider a bit more of a reduction, setting the building back a little bit more, at least reducing the size of the porch. While they have not made this request a condition, the committee should consider the suggestion and the applicant's response to the suggestion. I pass the comment along to Sault Ste. Marie Housing Corporation. They'd like to stick with the requested variance as requested. However, they are going to have their designer see if there's some way to improve that somewhat, although it's a very difficult lot to do that in. And they understand that snow removal and that could have an impact on the
Space.
space, and they are aware of that. And those are my submissions, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Since there's nobody in the audience for the application, do committee members have any questions or comments for Michelle?
Chair.
No, with that, I'll close the discussion and ask for a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll put forward a motion to approve the application with the consideration.
Do you want it as a condition or do you want it as an advisement?
Advisement.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. And can I get a second for that? Second by Frank, and all in favor? Okay, motion carried.
Moving right along to application A125, Stray Dog Investments. And Luke Barbin is here in support of his request. The property is 19 Silver Birch Drive. It is located on the west side of the west leg of Silver Birch Drive, north off Arizona Avenue. It is designated residential in the official plan and is zoned R3 low-density residential. The following variance is requested specifically from section 9.7.2, which requires a minimum lot frontage of 14 meters. The applicant proposes to reduce the minimum lot frontage to 6.4 meters to legitimize the existing duplex use, which has been in existence for more than 20 years. Notice of public hearing was sent by personal mail to neighboring properties by posting a sign on site and posting on the city website. As part of the application review, this proposal was circulated to the following internal departments and external agencies for their review. Building Division did not comment. Engineering and Construction had no comment. Fire Services and Legal Department had no comment. Planning Division, I'll read their comments in a minute. PUC, Distribution Inc. Electric Service and their water service had no concerns. Planning staff have no objection to this application and would like to note the following. The lot is pie-shaped, being narrower at the front and wider at the back. Although it does not meet the frontage requirement, it is somewhat larger in the area than other nearby lots with semi-detached dwellings. It is understood that this variance is being requested to legalize an apartment dwelling that has already been constructed. The official plan supports additional residential growth and development through various means, including financial incentives and reduced development standards. This lot can accommodate parking for both units in the side yard north of the dwelling. Approving this minor variance would not disrupt the existing pattern of development and would not significantly alter the visual or functional characteristics of the area. Based on these considerations, planning staff believe the application meets the four tests of a minor variance and recommend its approval. My further comment is the request has staff support and no evidence has come forward suggesting that approval would have a negative impact. And those are my submissions, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Mr. Barbin, do you have any questions or comments for the committee or Michelle? No? Okay, and with that, do the committee members have any questions or comments for Mr. Barbin or Michelle? No? Okay, with that, I'll close the discussion and ask for a motion. Okay,
I'll second.
thank you, Wayne, and second by Anthony, and all in favor? Okay, motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 3 on your agenda is an application A225. The subject property is 851 Second Line West. Mary Teresa and Dominic Allen Palumbo are the owners of the property. It is located on the south side of Second Line West between Whitney Avenue and North Eden Street. It is designated residential in the official plan and zoned R2 gentle density residential. The following variances are requested, specifically section 9.1.5, which requires a minimum interior side yard of 0.6 meters. The applicant asks to reduce the east interior side yard to 0.935 meters for the existing garage and to 0.510 meters for the existing shed to legitimize the location of the existing garage and shed. Again, notice of public hearing was sent by personal mail to neighboring properties by posting a sign on site and posting on the city website. The following departments were circulated for their comment. Building Division did not comment. Conservation Authority had no concerns. Site plan review and potential permit needed prior to any development. The applicant's not proposing development in this case. It's already there and has been there for some time. Engineering and Construction had no comment. Fire Services and Legal Department had no comment. Planning Division staff advised that the proposed minor variants are consistent with the existing built environment of the neighborhood, where many properties have garages or shed structures located close to the property lines. Approval of these variances would not alter the overall appearance of character of the area. Planning staff are of the opinion that the requested variances meet the 4 tests. Public Utilities Distribution, Inc. for electric and water services had no concerns, and Public Works did not comment. The request has staff support, and there's been no evidence presented to this point that approval would have a negative impact. I just add for some of the committee members, and maybe none, but a very similar request was approved years ago as part of a consent application. The consent never went through, and the variances, exact same variances, were tied to that consent, which required the applicant now to come back for variance approval. And those are my submissions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Michelle. Is there anybody in the audience here to speak on the matter? No. Okay, then with that, committee members, do you have any questions or comments for Michelle?
And Madam Chair.
No. And with that, I'll close the discussion and ask for a motion.
I'll put forward the motion, Madam Chair. Approval.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. And second, okay, thank you. Second by Wayne. Oh, Frank. Sorry, Frank. And all in favor? Thank you. Motion carried.
Thank you. We'll move to item 4 and item 6. It's a twofold application, and Mr. and Mrs. Brisson are in the gallery to support the request. It's both a minor variance and a consent. I think we should deal with the minor variance first before you move on to the consent. Second thought, I'll describe the consent so that you know what you're considering with the variance.
Okay.
The consent is consent application B225. John Paul and Mary Brisson are the owners of 4127 Queen Street East. It is located on the southeasterly side of Queen Street East between Fournier Road and Faldine Road. It is designated residential in the official plan and is zoned RA rural area. And the purpose and effect of the consent is to create one new rural area building lot and to retain a rural area building lot subject to final approval of minor variance A325. The proposed severed lands would have a frontage of 9.9 meters, and the depth would be 243.38 meters or more. The severed lands would have an area of 0.89 hectares. The retained lands would have a frontage of 45 meters, a depth of about 279 meters, and an area of about 1.27 hectares. So you can see that the proposed severed land, while shorter in frontage, is significantly larger than required in area. So we'll just move back to the minor variance, which is tab 4 on your agenda. The applicants are seeking relief from section 8.5.2 of zoning bylaw 2005-150, which requires a minimum lot frontage of 45 meters. They're asking to reduce the minimum lot frontage to 9.9 meters for the proposed severed parcel only. Notice of public hearing was sent by personal mail to neighboring properties by posting a sign on site and posting on the city website. John Masters, owner of 4121 Queen Street East, which was the abutting property owner, had the following comments. I am in favor of these applications, but like to make the city aware of the location of my well. It is located on the east side of my house and approximately 1 meter in from the property line. To protect my water source and allow for adequate setback distance from my existing well and any new driveway installed on the 9.9 meter frontage to access the new building lot, I would like to propose that any new driveway be limited to the easternmost lot adjacent to 4127 Queen Street East and limited in width. I would just add that Mr. Masters wished it known that he regretted having to even comment because the neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Brisson, are great neighbors. And he asked that I pass that on. As part of the application review, this proposal was circulated to the following internal departments and external agencies. Algoma Public Health had no objections, and I know that in your package it says no response. I received a response just before we came down. Building Division had no objection. Conservation Authority had no concerns. A review of site plan will be required prior to development commencing. Engineering and Construction had advised that there's no sanitary sewer. Septic must be to the Algoma Public Health satisfaction. A culvert will be required. Surface water from the driveway should be directed away from the shared property line at 4121 Queen Street East. Fire Services didn't comment. Legal Department had no comment. Planning Division advised that these applications seek to create a flag-shaped lot. While the frontage is 9.9 meters and is uncharacteristic of the immediate area, the small frontage will only be suitable for use as a driveway that provides access to the larger, more usable portion of the lot. It is not specified in the zoning bylaw, but a usable driveway is at least 3 meters or 9.8 feet wide. It is planning staff's opinion that the proposed frontage of the flag-shaped lot is wide enough for a usable driveway and has enough space to accommodate snow removal and larger vehicles. The furthest 50 meters of the rear yard is classified as a wetland. As such, no development can occur within 120 meters of the wetland without first undertaking a wetland evaluation. Public Utilities, Electric and Water had no concerns, and Public Works had no concerns. It is noted that while the proposed 9.9 meter frontage width continues for the first 38 meters of the property, after which the parcel widens to approximately 45 meters. The well servicing the westerly abutting property is approximately 3 meters from the common property line. It is recommended that a condition be attached to any approval which requires that any new driveway be located adjacent to the most easterly limit of the proposed parcel. That be a maximum 3 meter wide driveway width for a length of 30 meters commencing at the front property line. Further, that surface water from said driveway be directed away from the shared property line with 4121 Queen Street East. And I've discussed that with the applicants, and they're understanding and okay with that. Any future development will require a site plan review and may require a permit from the Conservation Authority. And in your package, it says, and from Algoma Public Health, but Algoma Public Health has already said that they have no concerns. As part of the building permit process, information will be provided to Algoma Public Health. A private water service and a culvert permit prior to occupancy will also be required. Recommended conditions of any approval. For the minor variance, any driveway servicing the proposed new lot is restricted to the most easterly limit of the proposed lot and cannot exceed 3 meters in width for a length of 30 meters commencing at the front property line. Surface water from the aforementioned driveway must be directed away from the shared property line with 4121 Queen Street East. And that's the minor variance. Move to the consent, which is under tab 6. The same comments apply, but the additional conditions that are required on a consent will have to be attached. Staff support the request. Neighborhood comments must be considered. Recommend conditions of any approval. This will seem overwhelming, but it's doable. Payment of 5% cash in lieu of parkland, payment of transfer review fee, provide a transfer deed of land for certificate of official, provide a reference plan, provide PIN abstract and PIN map, minor variance application approval is required, discharge of charge or mortgage, partial discharge of charge or mortgage, payment of taxes, provide confirmation that electrical services have been provided from the street to the existing residents to the satisfaction of the PUC services, obtain a culvert permit prior to the issuance of a building permit, provide an undertaking wherein confirmation of an independent working well servicing the proposed severed parcel will be submitted to the chief building official or his designate prior to the issuance of an occupancy permit. And those are my submissions on both applications. If anyone needs clarification, I'm happy to provide.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Mr. and Mrs. Brisson, do you want to come up to the podium and ask any questions or comments? Or no questions or no comments for the committee? No? Okay. Committee members, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
No? Okay, with that, I'll close the discussion and ask for a motion for the minor variance first.
The motion for minor variance.
So we'll add a condition for that, right? Mhm.
So fourth, a motion with conditions and second by Frank. And all in favor? Okay, motion passed. And then now I'll ask for a motion for the variance.
Consent.
Consent.
Yes, sorry.
That's okay.
Basically.
Okay, thank you, Frank. And second by Wayne. Okay, and all in favor? Okay, motion passed. Thank you.
So you're good.
Yeah, and you're welcome to leave. You don't have to stay for the remainder. In my mind, I said consent,
I know.
but variance came
That
out.
was like me calling him Frank.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Okay, so we'll bring the committee back to item 5 on your agenda, being application B125. And pointing out no representative in attendance. I think there's no objections to the request. Can we move forward with the application without representation?
Yep.
Good. Okay, so the application is B125. The subject property is 513 Lees Bay Road. Catherine Lake and Lisa Vine are the owners. It is located on the northwest corner of Lees Bay Road and Baseline and is designated rural in the official plan and zoned RA rural area. The purpose of the application is to create 2 new rural area building lots and to retain a rural area building lot. The proposed severed lands would have frontage of 112.96 meters approximately and approximately 72 meters in depth, having an area of 0.813 hectares more or less. The retained lands would be 168.88 meters frontage, irregular in depth, and have an area of approximately 5.766 hectares. Again, notice of public hearing was sent by personal mail to neighboring properties by posting a sign on site and by posting on the city website. As part of the application review, this proposal was circulated to the following internal departments and external agencies for their review. Building Division did not respond. Conservation Authority had no concerns or objections, advised that a site plan review will be required prior to development. Fire Services had no comment. Legal Department had no comment. Planning Division had no objections. Public Utilities, Electric and Water had no concerns, and Public Works had no comment. Fire Services commented, the Engineering Department commented as follows. Drainage from retained parcel will cross the severed parcel. A drainage design for future lots should be provided, and if drainage from the retained parcel must pass through the severed parcels, a drainage agreement may be required. There is a significant drainage course through the southeastern parcel carrying surface water from Lees Bay Road to base line. The drainage pattern must remain in place. It should be made clear to potential buyers that for this lot to be developed, considerable earthworks and the relocation of this drainage course would likely be required. Culvert permits will be required for new entrances on severed lots. There is no sanitary servicing this area. Any septic system design shall be to the satisfaction of Algoma Public Health. My comments and recommendations: drainage of the subject property has a significant impact on the proposed severed parcels as noted in the engineering division's comments. The following conditions are recommended for any consent approval. Payment of 5% cash in lieu of parkland, payment of transfer review fee, provide a transfer deed of land for certificate of official, provide a reference plan, provide PIN abstract and PIN map, minor variance application if required, discharge of charge or mortgage or partial discharge, payment of taxes, that the owner give a written undertaking to the Secretary Treasurer prior to final consent, acknowledging that confirmation of an on-site proven well must be provided to the building division prior to the issuance of an occupancy permit. Lot grading and drainage plan. That lot grading and drainage plan is intended to address the concerns of the engineering department, and Algoma Public Health approval. And those are my submissions, Madam Chair, and I have advised the applicants of engineering concerns.
Thank you, Michelle. Do I have any questions or comments from the committee members? No, and with that, I'll close the discussion and ask for a motion. Okay, and so put forth a motion with the conditions and second by Wayne, and all in favor? Okay, motion carried.
Madam Chair, could I just bring the committee's attention back? I just have a question on number 1 on your agenda, Sault Ste. Marie Housing Corporation, 267 Huron Street. I believe we have Mr. Shim Liu on Zoom, and I'm not sure if he had an
Oh,
opportunity
okay,
to speak.
okay,
Okay.
okay, sorry, I thought there was no.
And I'm sure he would have spoken up if I just couldn't recall. Okay, that's the agenda. We will now move to the business section, which is an election for chair, 2025.
Good. That sounds good.
So, Madam Chair, if you'd
Yes,
please vacate the seat. So I am going to pass out some nomination ballots.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. That's a piece of water, man. Stevie, it's gonna hang me, I tell you. Huh?
Three.
It's right, no. It's never.
Okay, so I have two up for nomination, And that would be Joe Rico and Melinda. And Joe has indicated that he would let his name stand. How do you
Yeah.
feel, Melinda? Okay, so I'm just gonna let you know that he'll let his name stand, and I will pass out the election ballot.
Easy. You're welcome. Once you're. Jeez. Huh? Sure. No, I stole it.
Hmm.
Um, Melinda and Joe both share the same number of ballots. Do you want to let your name stand? If you want to let your name stand, we'll vote again. I can ask Joe if he wants to let his name stand. And if you don't, then Joe will. He's okay with that? Okay,
Sounds
then
great.
we'll declare Mr. Greco the chair for 2025. And certainly have a vice chair in the wings. And so could I have a motion to destroy the ballots?
Motion. Destroy ballots.
Me too.
Thank you. We're done. Oh, an adjournment.
Oh, yes. Chair, are we adjourning?
Declare.